Would you like to talk in English or Urdu?
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Sobia Kamar,
Walaikum
Vice
salam.
Principal, Lahore's Campus Rehan School. Today, my conversation topic
Nice
is
to
learning from failure, turning feedback into opportunities. My first question: what does failure mean to you personally?
to me, failure means falling short of a goal I really care about, but also realizing there's something to learn from it. It's like feedback, not the end of the story.
Do you think failure is always a negative experience?
Not always. It feels negative at first, sure, but it can be useful. Painful? Yes. But useless? Only if you don't reflect on it.
Why or why not?
Well, because failure often shows us what doesn't work. That's valuable information. So it's not great emotionally, but it can be very useful practically.
Can failure sometimes be more valuable than success?
Absolutely. Yeah. Success can trick you into thinking you've got it all figured out. But failure forces honesty. It makes you ask hard questions like what needs to change? What actually matters?
What is the biggest lesson people can learn from making mistakes?
Probably that messing up doesn't mean you're broken. Mistakes are normal. They're signals that we tried, we learned, we moved forward.
Why are people often afraid of failure?
Because it can feel embarrassing or like proof they're not good enough. But a lot of that comes from outside pressure, like school, work, social media. People tie failure to identity instead of seeing it as just an event.
Why do some people give up after experience failure?
Often it's because they think failure defines them, or it feels safer to stop trying than to risk more pain. Sometimes they don't have support around them, so quitting feels like the only option left.
How can failure affect a person's confidence and motivation?
It can shake both for sure. Confidence drops because you doubt your abilities. Motivation dips because trying feels risky. But with time and the right framing, both can rebuild, sometimes stronger than before.
Do you think society puts too much pressure on people to success?
Yeah, I'd say often, yes. We glorify success stories and skip the mess it took to get there. That can make people feel like failure is unacceptable, which honestly isn't realistic.
What is the difference between failing at something and being a failure as a person?
Failing at something is situational. Like, I failed this test. Being a failure is an identity claim. And that's not helpful or true. You're way more than a single outcome.
Can a person become stronger after going through difficult experience?
Yes, very often. Hard times can build resilience, empathy, problem solving skills. The key is reflection plus support, not pretending it doesn't hurt.
Turning setbacks into opportunities, how can we turn a failure into a learning opportunity?
Hmm, hang on. Okay. Start by shifting from why did I fail to what can I learn here? Look at what specifically didn't work, get feedback, make a small plan to improve, and don't let one setback define your future. Treat it like training, not a verdict on who you are.
How can we identify what went wrong and avoid repeating same mistakes?
Good question. First, slow down and review the process step by step. Ask what was in my control, what wasn't. Compare attempts, maybe get a second opinion. Patterns show up. Once you see the pattern, you can change the approach, not just try harder.
Can Fuller help people discover new skills or talents?
Definitely. Sometimes failure forces you to try new approaches, and those experiments can reveal hidden strengths. Like maybe you discover you're better at planning, asking questions, collaborating than you realized. Loss can uncover potential.
Have you ever seen someone turn a difficult situation into a successful opportunities?
Yeah, plenty of times. Think of folks who lose a job. Some use that moment to reskill, start a small business, or shift into a better fit career. It's not automatic, but with support and time, tough breaks can become turnarounds.
Real life situation. Imagine a student fails an important exam.
I start by asking how they're feeling, not about the grade, but about themselves. Then talk about study habits, stress levels, supports. Then make one or two small changes instead of overhauling everything. Emphasize that one exam doesn't measure all their ability, it measures performance that day, that way.
What advice would you give them?
Don't tie your self worth to that result. Take one clear lesson, make a small change, and try again. And ask for help early. Teachers, mentors, friends. You don't have to do it alone.
What should an entrepreneur do when their business fail?
First, stabilize finances, obligations, basic next steps. Then review what actually happened without blame. What's reusable, skills, contacts, insights? Take time to recover. Burnout makes clearer thinking really hard. Then decide if you want to try again, pivot to something related, or take a break. None of those options mean failure as a person.
How can they use the situation as an opportunity for growth?
Well, run a simple debrief. What worked? What didn't? What to try next? Capture
What
those
should
lessons, update your skills, or
what should an entrepreneur
Mhm.
do when their
Go ahead.
business fails?
Stabilize first, then assess without blame. List assets, skills, knowledge gained. Take a recovery break, then decide deliberately whether to attempt again, pivot, or step away for now. And if trying again, iterate with smaller risks, clearer feedback loops. Failure isn't the end, it's information.
How can parents and teachers help young people develop a healthy attitude toward failure?
Model it first. Talk openly about your own mistakes and what they taught you. Praise effort and strategy, not just the A's or trophies. Give youth space to try, stumble, and talk through what happened without shame. That builds long term confidence.
Do successful people usually experience more failure before achieving success?
It often looks that way. More attempts mean more chances to miss the mark, but also to learn. The difference is persistence plus adaptation, not failure for its own sake. It's less they failed more and more like they kept learning.
Can failure teach us more about ourselves than success does?
Yeah, I think so. Failure tends to strip away the noise. You see your habits, your assumptions, your coping skills up close. Success can hide weaknesses, but failure shines a light on them. Not to shame you, but to show you where growth is possible.
Why is that important to learn from mistake instead of blaming ourselves?
Because blaming locks you in the past, but learning points you forward. It's about curiosity, not self punishment. Ask what needs adjusting, not what's wrong with me. That shift keeps confidence intact while still moving, learning forward.
How can a positive mindset help someone recover from failure?
It helps by reframing failure as information, not identity. It keeps energy on what to try next, not replaying what went wrong. That forward focus speeds recovery and makes the next attempt smarter.
Finally, if you could give one powerful message about turning setbacks into opportunities, what would it be?
Don't waste the lesson. Take what the setback teaches and turn it into your next smart step forward.
Failure is not the opposite of success. Sometimes it is the part that ideas us toward success. Thank you for this conversation. See you again. Bye.
Bye.